Now, we're not going to look at how to compensate all of them, but I do want to show you some compensation models. So I'm going to talk with you about how to compensate your team. How do you compensate your team so they're happy? So you're actually making money. How do we do all that? Now, before we look at a specific one, I'm actually going to show you how to compensate buyer's agents specifically, because this is where I see the vast majority of mistakes is with buyer's agents. Most people screw up how they compensate their buyer's agents, and it ruins the whole thing. So I'm going to show you how to avoid that. But first, I need to talk with you about principles, the principles of compensation. So number one is this: keep your compensation plan simple. Too many people get these elaborate things, and nobody knows how they're compensated. If you go to your team members and go, look, how do you make more money? They're like, I don't know. I think I have to sell something. You're like, okay, you're on the right track, but how do you make more money? They're like, I don't know. Because what happens is people come in and they go, okay, so if you bring the lead, then you get X. But if I bring the lead, but it's a relative of you, you get Y. But if I bring the lead and it's nobody that you know, you get Z. And all of a sudden, it just becomes this big, kludgy, complicated mess. And every time you have to cut a check, you're like, where's my calculator? I don't know how to, you're like, it's a formula. And you've got this massive spreadsheet to maintain it. You've screwed up your compensation plan. I don't care whether it's for a buyer's agent, a listing specialist, an ISA, whoever it is, your compensation plan needs to be very clear, very simple. Number two is this: it needs to protect your profit margin. People go, oh, that's obvious. And yet, this is where most people screw it up. Because then when they want to grow, they want to scale, they've realized they've given too much away and they don't have the funds to be able to scale the business. Because there's nothing there. Their profit margin is gone because they didn't understand how to protect that profit margin in a compensation plan that makes everybody thrilled with the money that they're making. And they don't know how to sell it, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Number three, make sure your compensation plan is fairly based and on performance. Fairly based and on performance. Everybody who comes onto your team needs to start at the bottom and work their way up. What you should never have is somebody who comes onto the team brand new and say, well, I really believe in them, so instead of compensating them like everybody else, I'm going to give them a little bit more. You want to know how to create pissed off team members? Wait till they figure out that somebody else is making more than them for the same work that they're doing, and they haven't proved themselves on the team. That just pisses people off. That's a cancer on your team. You don't want that. Number four, use commission-based plans when possible. Put as many people on commission as you possibly can. Don't pay salaries when you don't have to. Put as many people onto a commission-based plan, because that means that they only get paid when they do what? Sell. And what are you paying them to do? Sell. Now, if there are certain positions, you're going to have to pay a base salary. You are going to have to pay a base salary, but you know what I want you to do? I want you to pay a salary that covers the bills, but doesn't allow them to become fat and happy. Because I still want them to be hungry. And I want to reward them on the performance of the business. I want them to have upside. I want them to have equity and investment in the growth of the team, in the growth of the business, so that as our business is growing, guess what's growing? Their income. Because their income is directly tied to the performance of the business. I don't want people on the team who can sit back and go, you know what? I'm making my money. Doesn't bother me, you guys can't sell. As long as my paycheck keeps, I can go to the bank and it actually clears, I'm good. And there's too many people that are getting fat and happy salaries out there that probably ought to be pulled off of their compensation plan. So you got to make sure that you use commission-based. Now let's talk about buyer specialists or buyer's agents. This is important because this is where most people screw it up. A buyer specialist is one of the most poorly compensated positions, and it's because everybody is afraid of selling them on a commission structure that works. So here's what I'm here to tell you. A buyer specialist should never, ever, under any circumstances, be paid more than 50%. Ever. Ever. Now, you know what I recommend? 40. We recommend 40. Here's why. People go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. 50%, who's going to want to come work for 50%, right? That's everybody's next question, is why would anybody want to work for 50%? Or less, or 40%. But here's what I want you to think in mind. I need to do big numbers, so if these numbers don't work for you, I just need big figures, round figures that I can do math with, because I suck at doing math in my head, right? So let's say you get a commission check of $10,000, right? $10,000. And let's say you're on a 50-50 split, because again, easy math for me. So $10,000 comes in, 50 goes to your buyer's agent, or 5,000 goes to your buyer's agent, 5,000 comes to you. The buyer's agent goes, sweet, 5,000 straight into the pocket. And you're looking at your 5,000 going, awesome. $1,000 to marketing, $1,000 to admin, $1,000 to the office, $1,000 to this, and you're all of a sudden looking at your $5,000 going, wait a minute. There's only $1,000 left. Or some of you are like, I wish there was $1,000 left over. Some of you are like, I had to pay an extra $1,000. They got their 5, I got my 5, and then I owed 7. I don't know how it worked, right? That is like new math. And so you're looking at it and you're going, wait a minute, this sucks. Why do I want to build a team if this is all I get? And so you have to do it at scale. You have to understand what you're looking at, and you sell it like that. So when somebody goes, why am I going to come work for you for 50%? You need to figure out how to sell it. And what happens is most people get stuck on the value proposition. See, your value proposition is not the split. It's what they get for the split. If somebody comes in and goes, why am I going to pay you 50%? I can go make 100%. You say, you're absolutely right, but you're looking at the wrong number. Do you care about your split, or do you care about your take-home income? Which is more important to you? Do you want to make 100% of $50,000, or do you want to make 50% of $250,000? Your choice, right? Because I can help you make 50% of $250,000, or you can go make 100. You can make 100% of $50,000 if you want. That's your choice. But what I offer in exchange for this 50%, I'm going to handle all of your marketing. I'm going to handle all of your admin. I'm going to generate all of your leads. I'm going to teach you how to be successful in this business. I'm going to set it up so that you don't have to do all that work that you hate. The hardest thing is to run a business. I'm going to do all that for you. So all you have to do is show up, work the leads we give you. You're going to make your money. You're going to get to go home. Your family's going to love you. You're going to enjoy this business a whole lot more, and you're going to make more money. See, you got to change the conversation. If they're stuck on the split, you haven't shifted their focus. You always need to shift their focus from the percentage to the income number. Their net income, more often than not, will go up dramatically on a team versus taking 100% of their own production. And what you also want to do is show them the numbers. Say, by the way, you take your 50%, it goes straight into your pocket. I take my 50%, look at all these expenses. Do you want to pay all that? Look, you want to take it over, I'll take 50% and I'll let you cover. You can take 50% of my production. Right? And you can cover all this. And they're going to look at it and go, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. That's hard. And that's when you go, yes, it is. That's why I'm doing this side. You go do what you're great at. You go work with people. Let me handle the business and the structure. Let me handle all of that. When they see it, it makes a whole lot more sense for them. So you got to structure it correctly. Now, we don't have time to go into all the sample compensation plans, the different structures. So I want to give you a way to get different compensation plans based off of the position. So a lot of those positions that I showed you, we have a sample compensation plan that you can grab. All you have to do is go to travisrobertson.com/R4Teams. R4 Teams. You go there, name an address, or name an email address. We'll send you compensation plans for a lot of those positions that we talked about. We'll show you some different models. Now, every industry is going to be a little bit different. Salaries are going to be dependent on your marketplace. Base commission or base salaries are always dependent on your marketplace. There's no hard and fast rule. Depends on qualifications, depends on competitiveness, all of those things. You have to do it based off of your market. But the percentages, we don't change those depending on market. The percentages are set. So everything we give you in there talks about specific percentages, the reasoning behind it, so that you can take it back and you can start evaluating what makes the most sense for your team. Now, one of the things I want to address is this, because a lot of people go, well, what happens if I'm already stuck in a compensation plan that doesn't match what you said? What do I do? It's a great question. Here's what you do. You go to anybody. Let's say you've got a buyer's agent on the team and they're making 60% or 70% or whatever atrocious number you gave them, and you're realizing, crap, this sucks. Right? So how do you deal with that? Do you go back in and just cut their commission? No, you don't do that. You made an agreement with them, but what you can do is you can set minimum performance standards on them now. So you go back and you go, hey, here's the thing. I'm paying you 70%. And I want to grow this business. I want to grow this team. I want to make it even better than it is. But I need some funds to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to honor your 70% split or your 60% split. Anybody new that comes onto the team is going to be put at 40% or 50% or whatever that number is that you determine. Everybody else is going to get this. I'll keep you here, but you must produce at this level. If you don't, I will drop your commission. Sound fair? And they're going to go, no. And you're going to go, great, there's the door. Because this is where we're going. This is what we're doing now. This is how we're headed. This is going to be the structure of the team. You need to buy into this. And if they don't want it, most of the time they're going to go, okay, and you say, look, I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you succeed at this level. But if you can't hit this level, I can't grow this team, and I can't continue to pay you what you're being paid. But I will honor it as long as you meet minimum production standards. And if they don't want to do it, you can escort them out and you can rebuild the team. People think that just because they're on your team, you have to keep them there. Sometimes it's best to blow the whole sucker up and start over. It really is. It absolutely is.